what was your kind of aha or like, man, that was nice of the just recent
Man,
Olympics?
there were so many great highlights of the Olympics in general. I think one of the few, I can name a few, but one of the ones that really stood out to me was definitely the 400 hurdles, the men, both men and women, but definitely the men. Running 45 seconds over hurdles is unheard of. And the fact that there was three people under the previous world record of the 46.78 that Kevin Young had ran back in 1992, which is amazing. It just showed that it's one of the best hurdle races of all time. And then it just shows that, like, I feel like now after this year, there's going to be so much more people able to break 47 and in the 400 hurdles, and we're probably going to see some more 45s in the future. Ry Benjamin was right there with 46.1, and I think him and Warholm are very young, and they're going to be battling each other for a very long time.
Did you initiate that, or did a coach kind of like say you came out for a day and the coach said, hey, you need to stay around, or how did that transpire when you first kind of stepped out to the field out there?
Yeah, so I initiated it originally. Like, I came out on my own, and it was my coach at the time who, I think it was like our second day or third day of practice. We had some workout, and I started walking, and my coach came up to me. He was just like, I like the way you run. I think you can be really good at this. You just gotta get in shape. And that really encouraged me to stick with it. And I still thank him to this day, because just having someone like that tell you that you can do it, even when you don't think you can do it at that time, definitely plays a role in a lot of athletes coming up, for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. Sometimes that just one, click or that support, person can, can definitely keep you going. So you started getting yourself in shape and things like that. Did you have early success in during competition, or like, running against the kids and the other people in the county?
No, my first year, man, I was getting I was getting tore up my first year. Yeah, I was getting tore up all the time. I didn't have any really real success until maybe my second year outdoor
Mm-hmm.
season. But yeah, that first year, it was just all about learning how to run and learning what the sport actually is and stuff like that. And still have so much more room to grow even now. And so, yeah, my first year, I was getting tore up left and right.
Definitely, but we're going to get back to that growth. That's an excellent point. Post college, you continue to compete. Had some opportunities to represent Nigeria and do things like that. Talk a little bit about that experience. Competing post collegiate experience.
Man, my post collegiate experience has been amazing. Just the team I'm with now, the coach I have currently, he really figured me out. He really helped me to get to a new level, right? In college, I was 148 All American, stuff like that. And then, the coach I have now at District Track Club in
Hmm.
DC, he really, like, I don't know, he figured me out. And basically, he was able to, I was able to drop like 2 seconds my first year with him running 146. And then the following year, I was able to run 145. And then that season, I ran for Nigeria, which has been an amazing experience in and of itself. I always dreamed of representing a country to compete at the highest level, whether that was the U.S. or Nigeria. And Nigerian opportunity came up, and so I decided to take it. And just seeing other people at that level around, representing their respective countries, and saying that these people are elite just like me, or I'm elite just like them,
Right.
and just being in that atmosphere just gave me a brand new appreciation for the sport, and it also just showed me how far this sport can take you if you actually just put your mind to it and just stay consistent and put in the work.
That's cool, man. That's awesome. Yeah, professional track and field is definitely a different animal when it comes to to like professional sports people, and a lot of people just like we said earlier, every 4 years they kind of get really really high for it and get pumped up for it, and each sport has its culture. So obviously we're in it, so we're following Diamond League every year, we're following world champs, but the larger sum sometimes doesn't get to really get deep or delve into the sport like we do. Any other advice other than giving to yourself you would give to the current and upcoming PG County track and field guys?
Don't be afraid, especially this is for 400-meter runners or sprinters. Don't be afraid to run those longer distances. I think PG County, we were good in the 800. I think we kind of fell off a little bit, but I wholeheartedly believe we could be a dominant force in the 800 if some 400-meter runners were willing to step up and run the 800.
So tell me what you remember about the 2016 SEC Championships in Alabama. I think Donovan Brazier may have been in that race and a couple other guys, Brandon McBride and Hector Hernandez. What do you recall about that race?
That was that race took me from, like an average 800-meter runner to among the best in the country. That race qualified me for 2016 Olympic trials that year. That mark, having that mark under my belt, sort of laid the path for me to run professional. But to talk about the race specifically, it was my senior year, SEC championships. My PR at the time may have been like 147 mid, something like that. And I'm in the SEC. So it's like just about any other conference in the NCAA, coming in with PR 147, I probably would have been the top guy in that conference. But the SEC, with Donovan Brazier that year, Brandon McBride, Hector Hernandez, it was a whole different world. Like 147, I think it was a couple LSU guys that ran 147 didn't even make it out of the prelims. I made the final. That's my first time making a SEC final. And I really just went into it with the nothing to lose mindset, really. It was, it's not like I was the top guy going in. If I don't win the race, it's not like everybody's going to have their head in their hands. So it was just really go out there, execute my coach's race plan for me, trust my trainer, trust my body, put myself in a position to run well. And I ended up getting fourth with the 146.69, which is crazy because that was I think it was the 8th fastest time in all of the NCAA that year, but it was within the SEC. So that just goes to show you how competitive the SEC was in the 800 meters at that race, but at that time. But yeah, that race really stepped me up from, an above average 800-meter runner to one of the best in the country that year.
So I know your mom and your dad were definitely influential in kind of keeping you grounded. How did they keep you involved and keep you excited about being in sports?
My parents was just supportive. Like, neither one of my parents, I think my mother might have swirled the baton in high school. Neither one of my parents played like organized sports growing up, let alone ran track. So it's not like they knew anything about track, but my parents was just supportive. If I needed it, like they showed up to the meets, them AAU days when you at the track from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. They're watching me get last place, you know what I'm saying, screaming at me from the stands. Like they was just supportive. It was always it was never a why. Like, why do you want to do this? It was always, you want to run track? Okay, cool. We'll sign you up. Gary, you'll take you on trader practice sometimes. I take you on trader practice sometimes. It's a track meet up in Delaware. Okay, we're going to have to get a hotel. Parents will figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Just let me know what you want to do and we'll figure out how to make it happen.
But why do you think the county, Prince George's County in particular, is so deep and rich in track and field?
Like I had teammates in college, they said like, our coach was the math teacher and we used to show up at meets and jeans on and we'd just do whatever. That's not the culture in PG County. It comes from the coaches down. So it's like you get all these naturally gifted athletes here and it's like it's a culture within the coaching of PG County that's really molding these kids, and it's teaching them fundamentals and it's teaching them technique. And once you have that natural talent mixed with directional coaching, you get results, that's my theory. That's my long-winded theory on why PG County could be such a dominant track and field area.
So, what advice would you give to some high schoolers today, looking back and where you are now? What's some advice, some tidbits you can give to them?
For me, I started seeing big results when I fell in love with the process. I fell in love with practice. I fell in love with the hard workouts. I fell in love with the weight room. I wanted to do the work just as much as I wanted to run fast on race day.
You have a mission to give back and to be involved with your community. So share with us some of the things that in your mind, why it's important to do so, and some of the things that you've been able to do thus far in giving back to your community.
Yeah, definitely. So for one, everything that I had, everything that I experienced is because somebody gave it to me, So it's like I found a little bit of success within this sport to the point where, I even have the ability or the opportunity to give back. So it's an easy decision for me. So I have the means and I have the actual, like something as simple as Adidas. Like I'm an Adidas sponsored athlete. Adidas sends me however much clothes a year. That's like, okay, cool. I know I got this amount of stuff right here. I don't necessarily need all of this. So cool, let's box some of this up. I'm gonna go to Flowers when I'm home for Thanksgiving break. And so let's text Coach Rose, hey, I'm trying to meet with the team, give out some gift. That's easy for me, for one. For two, I remember being in high school and only having 2-3 days worth of practice gear. You recycling stuff before you get to wash it. And it's like, I'm in a position where I could, why not? That's easy. But some of the things I've been able to do is that. So obviously I donate clothes to Flowers specifically every chance I get. My sister has a program that she does with the school in Ghana. Send Adidas to the kids in Ghana all the time. We actually just helped build a fence at that school actually, because unfortunately, like some of the girls will get kidnapped from the school. There's just no security structure at the school at all. So one of the things I'm happy we was able to do was help get a fence built for the school, to secure the girls. So that was big. This past summer 2020, inspired off of the George Floyd murder. Inspired by the George Floyd murder, as well as the subsequent nationwide urge to support the Black community. I felt like it's like I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna do something for my folks. And I made a little campaign telling everybody what I wanted to do, and I was able to raise almost $13,000. And with that, I gave $5,000 to the Glen Boys and Girls Club. That's where I came up playing football, basketball, soccer, t-ball. My grandfather was the mayor of Glenard, and my mother was the county council member of Glenard. I got Glenard in my veins. I grew up in Glenard. I was able to get $5,000 to the Glenard Boys and Girls Club. Then with that was my goal. But my fundraising, I raised way more money. I had a surplus past my $5,000 goal. So it's like, what else can I do? Okay, now we took care of the Glenard Boys and Girls Club. Let's go take care of my high school. It was 2 twin girls at Flowers, Manueline and Manuela Day. I gave them both a $2,500 scholarship. They had just graduated on their way to school. Still had extra $2,500 left over. found a young dude, played football coming out of Glen Island Boys and Girls Club as well. Gave him a $25,000 scholarship. So that's like my biggest thing that I've ever done, because that was I can't say it's me on my own, because obviously it was a fundraising crowdsourced situation, but that was my idea, and I executed that sort of by myself. Whereas the Ghana thing was along with my sister and her mentor in Ghana. But yeah, so that big fundraising, that big scholarship that I did through my nonprofit last summer, that was my biggest community service that I've done, definitely.
Appreciate you coming on the show, and look forward to seeing great things from you.
Appreciate you having me, man. Always good to talk to Coach Rose. Always good to show love to PG County whenever I can, however I can. Call me anytime. We can sit and do it again.